It's become very common for people to use AI for mental health concerns. And with that, there are a lot of critiques of it should, it shouldn't, whatever it might be. And often the people who've been using it will say, well, if it helps, what's the problem? That it's no different than reading a book. It's no different than talking things out with a friend. It's no different than just getting a second opinion. And those responses make sense because AI responds effectively. You will feel heard by it, that it provides helpful and sometimes very accurate information. But the key difference is the way things are impacted after the interaction. Now, this isn't exclusive to AI. A mentor can provide information too quickly. A counselor can forget to evaluate effectiveness of solutions. A teacher can not follow up and confirm that information was understood. A friend can not follow up on advice that was given. But in all those, it was expected that they would. The difference is that with AI, there is no responsibility to follow up. With humans, it's inherent in those interpersonal interactions that we will care. That in those relationships, we have responsibility to follow up on the outcome, to follow up on the impact, to follow up on the effect. But with AI, there is no socially constructed expectation within that interaction that says AI is responsible for following up. Now, with a mentor, they're expected to stop and make sure integration happened. A counselor is ethically responsible for looking at the outcomes of the work. A teacher is expected to confirm that understanding happened. A friend, if they care, is expected to want to follow up on the results of advice. And the ongoing nature of those relationships gives a built-in space where follow-up can occur, where misunderstandings can be corrected, where things can be slowed down to reassess, was it understood effectively? With AI, it's not an issue of the quality of the information. It's not an issue of the fluency of the interaction. It's not an issue of how available is AI. There's nothing about those that is wrong. What it is there's nothing inherent in that interaction that requires follow-up. That in a human to AI interaction, no one is responsible for what happens after the interaction. Now, let me draw this real quick. We'll pull up the whiteboard just because whiteboards are fun. So, we have got two people in an interaction. We've got a person who's looking for advice, and we got the person who's giving advice. Now, in this interaction, information is transferred, and then information is acted upon. Now, if we look at a human-to-human interaction, in the social contract, inherent in the nature of a person-to-person interaction is that this person will follow up on the outcome. A teacher will make sure there's understanding. A mentor will make sure application happened. A counselor is expected to follow up and make sure that the outcomes were what we were aiming for. A friend will check in to see how advice worked out. But in a person to AI interaction, AI is not inherently expected to follow up. So now the difference between a human-to-human interaction and a human-to-AI interaction is not the information transfer. It's that there's a lack of responsibility that someone should follow up on the outcome. And so I'm not saying AI is malicious. I'm not saying AI is evil and we shouldn't use it. What I'm saying is we have to be aware that the dynamic is very different because there is a lack of responsibility. Now, the question would be, doesn't this happen with books or with podcasts or with videos? Now, the difference is the social construct of that interaction. That the giver of information, so the person writing the book, the person producing the podcast, the person producing the video, they are still under that social construct that says, I'm responsible for knowing what the outcome might be. That in that, you expect an author to be careful with their words. You expect a podcaster to be kind and considerate. For me, as someone who's making this video, I look at what I'm saying to look at how could this impact people? How do I pay attention to my words? Because in the social contract, I'm expected to not be a total dick and lead people down the wrong road. This is part of why anonymous interactions over social media get so damaging, is because the nature of that interaction significantly reduces the power of that social contract. And so now I'm not obligated to worry about how my words impact you, because I have been removed from the intimacy of that interaction. My responsibility, my accountability is now gone. If a counselor gives advice and then just wipes their hands clean and says, best of luck, we immediately know they have broken that social contract that said someone is responsible for following up. But the inherent nature of AI is that that is the dynamic that happens. Not that AI is malicious, not that AI is evil, but the nature of the dynamic is that it is not expected to follow up. And that's easy to miss because the interaction is so smooth that often it's insightful, often you feel better and you don't notice that in this whole process, no one is taking accountability. No one is responsible for what happens next. And so AI reflects your thoughts and feelings and you feel better, but then the next day you feel worse. AI is not responsible to follow up and find out what happened. AI is not responsible to follow up and see if they can help in any new way. AI gives you an answer. It sounds great. You implement it and it goes poorly. AI is not responsible to follow up. I'm not saying don't use AI for mental health concerns. I'm not saying AI is evil and you can't trust it. I'm just saying you need to be aware of the nature of that interaction removes that follow-up, removes that responsibility. So AI is not the same as reading a book. AI is not the same as talking to a friend. It's not the same as just getting another opinion. Not because we can't trust it, but because in the interaction, there is no one who is inherently responsible for the outcome.